Hello everybody, welcome to my small talk about how to succeed in transition from cage to cage free. Yeah, we have some challenges in some areas there. First, my name is Frank Luttels. I'm in the agricultural industry since 1997. Since 2016 I joined Chore-Time, and since 17 I'm the layer product manager for the whole equipment. I was in cage-free development since 1999 already in Europe, so yeah, we learned a lot, and that's what we try to bring in, that knowledge also in the US and other markets outside of Europe. What do we see now often, especially here in US, but also some other areas? These old high-rise houses. So you have that upper tier, generally A-frame cage. In the bottom you have your manure, your droppings, and yeah, that needs to go out. You need to go to cage-free. But how do we do that? How does that look? Well, of course, first you empty the house. Mostly the houses are still okay. You start renovating. Sometimes you need to pour new concrete. And then, yeah, what equipment should you put in? What is a good way to go forward to go to cage-free? Of course, that's our own Chore-Time Vike aviary. And our Vike aviary has some very unique details in it, why we think it outperforms all the rest and why this is one of the best aviaries in the market. Especially for that transition from high-rise houses to aviaries, we have the Vike Adapt aviary. And Adapt from adapting. This aviary is a little bit lower in build than the normal aviaries. We call it the European style aviaries. And that is to have enough height to the ceiling. You see it here in a building actually in Europe with a pitched roof. You have enough height that you can ventilate, because you don't want to have that the birds are crammed up to the roof. You want to ventilate, you want to have airflow, you don't want to have hot spots in your house. And that Vike Adapt is a lower version, and also you see it here in the bottom tier. It fits better and you can ventilate. Especially the bottom tier, when that height here is less than 3 foot, then yeah, you get trouble with ventilating over, getting fresh air in the middle. And what we did, we shrink the aviary, we cut out the bottom tier, but we made the tier in front of the nest approach platform wider with a manure belt. Because we believe in manure belts for cage-free birds. Because a manure belt means the manure is out, so the ammonia is out, the air quality is way better, so that belt is perfect, also for cage-free. So we lowered the whole system so it can fit in your house. We have that platform in front of the nest that we count now as living area with a manure belt underneath. And that's how we often adapt and do these Vike aviaries in a older high-rise house. You see here the design, manure belt, platform in front of the nest and the top tier with the feeding and the perches. Watering always in front of the nest, really important, because in the night the birds sleep on these perches. You train them, you rear them, you learn them to sleep on a perch, and they will spread out over the whole house and you can ventilate well. Then in the morning they wake up, they go down, they eat, they get thirsty, they jump down, they drink, and they go lay their egg. And that's the critical design detail why we always want to have that water in front of the nest. And we want that purchase on top. Purchase is your cheapest investment in animal welfare and in having a good design in a house. It doesn't cost a lot, but it's really effective of having the birds spread out over the house in the night to ventilate well, to have a good climate in these houses. So always put in enough perches. In Europe, the standard is 15 centimeters per bird, so that's 2 birds per foot, roughly. That's a real good standard. All the birds can sleep on the perch. We also make perches over the feet, so you don't have that many droppings in the feet. The feet stays clean. Put in perches. Whatever you do, also when you start with cage-free and you buy an aviary and you can't buy aviary trained layers, put perches in your rearing barn. even when it's wood, it doesn't matter, put perches in. Because when they are used to sleep on a perch, transition from rearing to lay will be easier, and they tend to go to the perch to sleep. They will find a way up, they will go up, they will sleep there, they will be spread out. When you have some more height, we traditionally go to the normal European style aviary. So you see then you have a bottom tier here with feet, you have the nest level, and you have the top tier level, also with the feet and the perches again. But also here, same design, water in front of the nest. You want to have 80–90% of the birds sleeping on these perches in the night, eating, drinking, laying eggs. That's really critical how we do all the designs, what we want. We want to have that separate nest area with decent nesting conditions. And yeah, we have them in several designs. We have the Vike 5, where the top tier is narrower at the bottom tier. Birds can move inside a little bit up. Or we have the straight versions, the Vike 2, also in different widths available. Some people say you need to have this. I disagree with that. When you have an aviary and you have aisles, so you have more rows, birds tend to jump inside the aisles up. So they interact between the systems. They go more likely up like this than they likely go up like this. So in general, straight aviary, so a aviary with even tiers, or a step aviary, there is completely no difference in performance. The only thing, because this is so wide, or you can put in a few more birds when you have this system on the same width, or you can put a little bit less system in and you have wider scratch areas. And scratch areas are really important because we want to have that ground source packing of the birds. They need to go to the floor, they need to do the scratching, they need to do the dust baiting, the ground source packing. That's really critical. That's why you see when you have the designs made and you go really low on scratch, what is sometimes allowed by the law, by the rules, you see that the performance is lower than when you go to a design where you have a little bit more scratch area, so where the percentage scratch area system is a little bit more equal. In Europe we have COT, that's a German rule. It says you need to have 50%, and actually these COT houses are more or less, because the density is a little bit lower, these are the best performing houses in general what you see from layout. And that's because of that scratch aviary is really on a very good level that works really well for the birds. A lot of people think, it's more or less like a cage, we open the door and that's it. But you need that scratch area. It's also in rearing important. Try to have enough scratch area for these rearing birds, because you want them to learn the dust baiting, the ground source packing, everything. They need to learn that from day one. Don't put them in a cage for 8 weeks and then put them on a rearing aviary. You will see quality of these trained birds is lower, because the development of the legs, of the bones, of the muscles starts from day one. So you need to train them from day one on. That's really critical. You see, we have some more models. We have a little bit higher model that can be on the floor, of the floor, very narrow, very wide. With these combinations of aviary, we can make all house designs fit. So, and we can combine all these aviaries in one house. So often you see designs of houses where we use several different systems just to meet the requirements, just to match the house width, all that kind of stuff. Like with a pitched roof, sometimes we put the adapt at the side because we don't have the height to ventilate, but in the middle we can put a normal Vike aviary. So that's how we very often do these designs of the house. We don't say you need just one system for a house. No, we can combine. Also in these two-tier houses, sometimes in the bottom we have a little bit less space, we put an adapt. In the top we put a normal Vike 2, so that can vary. We do really what is needed, what fits best, and we keep our design requirements that you can ventilate, you have your perches on top, you have your scratch area to do the ground source packing. All these things we try to reconsider all the time to make a good house design. Possible house layout. This was a two-tier house with adapt. You see, the floor is integrated in the system. So when you have a high-rise house where the floor is out, where it didn't match or it's not good enough anymore, we can start in an empty house and we build the whole structure in once, including the flooring. So it's not that you need to have a structural floor. We can do the floor included, or we can do integrated floor. Doesn't matter. It's a pretty common house layout in a normal Fike 2 in Europe, Netherlands especially, 22 meters, often 100 meters long, and then it's limited often on just 60,000 birds. But that's because of laws and rules and ammonia emission. But yeah, these are pretty common house layouts. And also here, floor was integrated in the rest. What also can happen, that you have a broiler barn and when you want to do a conversion. Don't forget that also broiler barns are pretty suitable to go to layers. And you can go, like here, you can go to a floor layer barn or something. This was parent stock. No vaccine eggs was this. That's often forgotten that these broiler houses, ventilation-wise, and so cubics, CFMs, they have enough installed to meet that, and with a pretty simple conversion. Often in US you need to pour concrete, but you can put in a floor layer barn. Also in floor layers, don't forget to put in enough scratch area. Enough scratch area, don't overcrowd the building, and a good nest. Because at the end of the day, what pays the bill? That are the A-grade eggs. Our nest, what we use, is actually a broiler breeder nest from origin, from the 90s already. And broiler breeders, very expensive eggs. You need A-grade eggs. You need hatchable eggs. And we use exactly the same nest, what we use in broiler breeders, we use in layers. We have our unique rack and pinion expeller that runs really slow on a small motor. It takes 2 minutes to close. It's the only expeller where the fingers stay on the astroturf pad, so you don't have jammed birds underneath, nothing, anything. It's really rigid. We run 125 meters on one small motor. And yeah, this is what we want. We want A-grade eggs. We want clean eggs. US you can wash, but also washing is a cost. But all over the world you can't wash. So you want clean eggs because only a clean egg can go in the carton. And we see differences, and you saw the layer, the vaccine egg house, the picture before. At that customer, we have one house, and he has 2 more houses from competition. All over the flock, from the first flock and now the second flock, we outperform competition there by 2.5% more hatchable eggs. And his hatchable vaccine eggs bring $30 an egg. So that's big money. So A-grade eggs pay the bill at the end of the day. That was small talk about conversion from cage-free to aviary, and a little bit how we like to design aviaries and what our main factors are, what we weigh in. Thank you for your attention, and when you have questions, you're welcome.